Attention fans, Liverpool in pole position to sign top Ajax defender. Giovanni Leoni's injury could force Liverpool to rethink their January transfer plans. Urgent! A boost for Real Madrid as the renewal of Liverpool's main target seems difficult. Hello, fellow supporter. Welcome to your news channel dedicated to the biggest club in the world. Liverpool has emerged as the favorite in the race to sign Yori Bass, even with Real Madrid identified as a strong contender. According to a new report from Fichajes, the Premier League champions have gained an advantage in the race for the Ajax defender due to the personal insistence of manager Arne Slot. Liverpool's priority for the 2026 season includes, among other objectives, finding a potential long-term replacement for Virgil van Dijk. The Dutch captain, currently 35 years old, has a contract until 2027, and the club plans to secure a successor while Van Dijk is still active at Anfield. This approach would allow the new signing to learn from Van Dijk's experience and quality while integrating in a less pressured environment, easing his adaptation to the club and the Premier League. In recent weeks, several defenders have been linked to Liverpool. In addition to Mark Guehi from Crystal Palace, who nearly joined the Reds on the final day of the transfer window, other promising targets have emerged, including Dutch internationals Mickey van de Ven and Jan-Paul van Hecke. However, the club's attention has recently turned to young Dutch talents. Aaron Bouwman, also from Ajax, was among the monitored players, and last week reports suggested that Liverpool is keeping an eye on his club teammate Yori Bass. At just 22 years old, Bass is already part of the first team under Ronald Koeman and has a contract with his boyhood club until 2028. Under John Heitinga's guidance in Amsterdam, Bass emerged as a key player. The 1.83-meter left-footed defender shows maturity and seems ready to take the next step in his career. The report highlights that Liverpool may have an advantage in this race thanks to Arne Slot's explicit desire, as he knows the player well and believes his style would suit the fast pace of the Premier League perfectly. Liverpool faces a clear need to restructure its defense. Beyond finding a successor for Van Dijk in the coming seasons, the futures of Joe Gomez and Ibrahima Konate remain uncertain, increasing the need for quality reinforcements. With Arne Slot's approval and insistence, Yori Bass appears to be one of the most likely candidates to take a central role in the Reds' defense in the coming years.
Giovanni Leoni's debut could not have ended more cruelly, leaving Liverpool in a delicate situation. The young Italian impressed in his first appearance for the Reds, starting against Southampton on Tuesday. However, what began as a promising night ended in the worst way, as he had to leave the field on a stretcher. The full extent of his injury has not yet been confirmed, but the sight of Leoni writhing in pain before being carried down the tunnel suggests he will likely face a prolonged period out. This is a harsh blow for a player who joined the club just over a month ago and was already showing promising signs at Anfield. Instead of focusing on new opportunities in the coming matches, Leoni will now have to concentrate on his recovery. This setback affects not only the player, but also Liverpool, which will have one less option in defense. With Leoni sidelined, Liverpool will have to navigate the next few weeks with just 3 experienced defenders: Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Joe Gomez. Considering the Reds' packed domestic and European schedule, this represents a significant challenge. If Mark Guehi had completed his transfer to Anfield on the final day of the window, the team would have had greater defensive security. The Crystal Palace decision to cancel the deal now appears even more damaging, although there is always the possibility of revisiting the negotiation in January. Earlier reports suggested that Liverpool did not plan to pursue Guehi again before the new year, opting to wait for him to become a free agent in the summer. However, with Leoni sidelined, the situation may require a change of approach. While paying for a player who could arrive for free in a few months may seem risky, the need to reinforce the defense and maintain the team's competitiveness makes the move more justifiable. Furthermore, rumors that Manchester City could show interest in Guehi strengthen the urgency for the Reds to act now. Securing the player now could prevent a rival from competing for his signature, protecting Arne Slot's defensive plan. At this moment, with Lioni likely out for an extended period, Liverpool will need to rethink their defensive strategy for the remainder of the season. The decision of Crystal Palace and their manager, Oliver Glasner, regarding Guehi's release will be crucial, and the Reds must carefully consider their options to avoid compromising the team's performance.
Real Madrid has already placed Liverpool defender Ibrahima Konate on their list of priorities for the 2026 summer transfer window. Defense is an area the Spanish club intends to strengthen urgently, especially given the likely departure of key players and the contractual uncertainties surrounding some of their current defenders. With David Alaba set to leave the Santiago Bernabéu and Antonio Rudiger's future still unclear, Real Madrid's management is actively seeking new options to bolster their defensive line. In this context, Konate emerges as a strategic target, considering his contract with Liverpool is approaching its end at the conclusion of the season. The 26-year-old French player possesses all the qualities Real Madrid is looking for: international experience, physical strength, game-reading ability, and defensive versatility, traits that could fill significant gaps in the Spanish squad. Meanwhile, Liverpool has been attempting, without success so far, to convince Konate to sign a contract extension. Despite the English club's efforts to keep the player at Anfield, negotiations have made little progress, and there are no signs of a deal being close. This situation leaves room for clubs like Real Madrid to position themselves strategically, closely monitoring every move by Liverpool and the French defender. Renowned journalist Fabrizio Romano reported that an agreement between Liverpool and Konate to renew his contract appears extremely difficult. The stagnation of negotiations makes the possibility of an imminent transfer more realistic, especially considering that Real Madrid is closely observing the situation and planning a potential free transfer should Konate decide not to renew with the Reds. The scenario at the Santiago Bernabéu highlights the need for defensive reinforcements, even after recent investments such as the signing of Dean Huijsen. The departure of Alaba and Rudiger would leave the club with a significant gap in defense, making the acquisition of Konate a strategic priority. The French defender, for his part, has shown interest in moving to the Spanish capital and could sign a pre-contract from January when he enters the final 6 months of his Liverpool contract. Beyond the contractual aspect, there is also the matter of integration with teammates. Konate could follow in the footsteps of his former Liverpool colleague, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who became an important piece in both defensive and offensive strategies at Real Madrid. Signing Konate would strengthen Real Madrid's defense with experience and consistency in both La Liga and European competitions. The situation presents opportunities and challenges. Real Madrid aims to reinforce its defense, Konate seeks new challenges and contractual freedom, and Liverpool risks losing a key defender without compensation. How the negotiation unfolds will determine if the 26-year-old joins Madrid for the 2026 season. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.